When women come into the program, oftentimes their stories are very different. Many times they feel that shame and they feel that guilt, but whatever the case is, their goal is the same and they desire the same outcome.
I grew up in a good family, but there was a lot of codependence that happened, and so I fell into that pattern of relying on men for my self-worth. It got to the point where I felt like if I wasn't in a relationship and it wasn't going well, then I had no reason to live. And when you bottom out in codependence, you turn to drugs and alcohol.
I had known my husband, Alex, for years, but I didn't know the severity of his addiction until we started dating. Dating my husband gave my addiction permission to just come out full force. We would use and then relapse and use and relapse.
I started using drugs and alcohol after my divorce. I was going to college full-time, I was working full-time and had the 2 children. And I started using what they call black beauties, which is speed. And I started drinking really heavily on the weekends the kids were gone, trying to deal with the pain I was dealing with. A turning point for me was Mother's Day 2 years ago. My daughter and her family came to see me to bring a Mother's Day gift, and my oldest grandson saw me drunk.
Hitting that bottom of being homeless with nowhere to go really made me take it seriously, like, this is something I have to do or else.
There is so much shame that's associated with addiction. I had done so much to hurt my family. I would do whatever it took to make it right. And if coming to the Foundry is what they wanted me to do, then that's what I had to do.
When women come to the Foundry, I would say that they feel helpless. Their addiction has taken them to the point that they have been rendered silent and they are no longer able to have their own voice. The world has reestablished in them that they're an addict and that they have no hope and they have no worth and no value. So we want to do the same thing with them, but through the eyes of Christ.
The point where I really felt like something brand new was happening was the life class. I learned that God says I am worthy and I'm righteous through Christ Jesus.
For the longest time I thought, when I tell my story, everybody's just gonna run out of the room. And so I was so scared to talk, but that's what the Foundry gives you, is a safe, secure environment where you can let all that out and they're like, okay, we still love you. The most important thing that happened to me here was I was put in a leadership role. I had to make hard decisions that weren't the most popular. To experience that rejection, it was hard, but I was okay just knowing that me and God were okay, and I had done the right thing.
The entire process of learning how to cope with daily life gave me the opportunity here to seek God more.
So in that time, I had learned that my husband had filed for divorce and had requested, that he get full custody of my son. God, okay, you're gonna have to have this because I can't move this mountain.
This process would work if I let it work, especially after I found out I was pregnant. 2 weeks after my first weekend pass, I was becoming suspicious and trying to call my husband, who's at the farm in Coleman, I'm gonna let him know that we're pregnant.
When I came to realize that I do have worth, it opened my mind and my heart to the possibilities of what God can do in my life.
I have to stay because I'm pregnant. I have to fix this That's what the Lord was telling me. This is my shot, because now I'm going to be a mom.
My husband unexpectedly showed up at the Foundry thrift store when I was at work. Oh my gosh, I said, what are you doing here? And he said, well, your son misses you.
The ladies who at one time came in with their heads down and their hoodies on and no hope, now they have joy, and now they have purpose, and now they walk in victory.
Going through the program at the Foundry and getting into a right relationship with Christ has restored my relationship with my children. I go to church on Wednesdays and Sundays, a lot of church activities. I volunteer at the Mission of Hope. I'm trusted to keep my grandchildren all day, it's changed everything.
What I have learned about my most intimate relationships through my relationship with the Lord is that unconditional love is paramount. And I didn't understand that before the Foundry.
The court case, the divorce, everything was being wiped away. God moved that mountain. The hardest thing is your child to trust God with and just let that go and be okay with that. But I learned to trust Him. It didn't happen right away, but because I was faithful and obedient, He restored my marriage and my relationship with my son.
When women come into the program, oftentimes their stories are very different, but I can tell you that their stories would not even exist if it weren't for your support.